Only that the stakes are much higher now. And thankfully we have our experts, like our panelists, who know exactly how to catch them. Ladies and gentlemen, the session, the moment we've been waiting for is finally here, which is the panel discussion. And we have a number of topics we'll be discussing in this session. I'd like to welcome our moderator who will be leading this conversation. Please put your hands together as I welcome April.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, thank you for coming to the Hacker Secret Conference. The theme of today's panel discussion is staying secure in the AI age. To discuss this topic, I have 4 esteemed panelists with me. Please keep clapping as I call all of them to the stage. First off, we have Ms. Adesola Oguntime. Please keep clapping, please keep clapping. Next up, we have Engineer Priya Ufot. Next up, we have Mr. Delight Hamilton.
I say if you know be spark, you know be anybody.
And of course, we have the incredible Mr. Williams Olabode.
Tell me what to do not to make this dollar.
It's your international boy,
Thank you all once again for coming for our panel session. The theme of today is staying secure in the AI age. Since the beginning of mobile phones, there has always been cyber insecurity. People have always tried to steal information, money, all sorts of things from phones. But now, with the presence of artificial intelligence, it's even worse. We have all sorts of things. We have deep fakes. We have all sorts of different methods so that people are now using artificial intelligence to steal information. And honestly, it's horrible. One of the most prominent ones are deep fakes, using software to create fake videos to orchestrate events that have never happened. First of all, we'd like to find out how deepfakes turn from fake realities to these ultra-realistic synthetic identities. Mr. Ufot, could you please help us?
Hi everyone, good afternoon. And thank you for being in the Hacker Secret Conference. I think this is 3.0, right? My name is Priya, and I'm excited to be here. I thought someone would smile at my name. My name sounds very funny, right? Okay, I would like to actually give a little background of myself, so whatsoever I say can actually land perfectly. I don't think that will be off the point. Okay, thank you. So, I have a background in cybersecurity, data protection, and artificial intelligence advocacy, and of course, I'm an artificial intelligence generalist. So what that means is I practically try consciously, purposefully, make sure that everything I do, I make sure I do them with artificial intelligence. So for those of you that might feel that working with artificial intelligence means you are dumb, I'm here to actually clear your notion that no, it doesn't mean you are dumb. It means you are trying to give your best, you're trying to optimize every single thing you are doing, and I advise you to embrace artificial intelligence because it has come to stay, and it will stay forever. Okay? Just take that to the bank. Now, artificial deepfakes, like you said, are actually, it actually started from video editing, the simple thing you know as video editing. Editing of videos, you take an image, you sit down with Photoshop and you start editing your pictures just to make them beautiful, to make them nice, to make your videos cut and join and make them work fine. That is the origin and where deepfake started. So artificial intelligence just came in to amplify all those things. So I will say at a crude level that making deepfakes have actually started before artificial intelligence came to actually amplify it, optimize it, and make it more effective. And with the advent of perfect models, with the advent of what we call generative adversarial networks, with the advent of diffusion networks, it makes these things very, very effective. So this is where it all started, and it has now come to a level where we can now do something that is near perfect, something that is at least a 99 point something percent that can actually fool a lot of people. And that is just the origin and the start of deepfakes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honestly, from what you said, that's actually terrifying. Of course, AI has a lot of benefits, but the amount of harm that can be done with it, it's actually terrifying. But if you think about it, you begin to wonder whether it gets to a stage where AI can escalate a cyber conflict more than humans can contain. Mr. Delight, with your professional experience, do you believe this is something that could happen?
Okay. Thank you very much, April. Thank you very much, the organizers of THSC, for inviting me again. So to answer your question, do you think it's something that could happen? I'll say like yes or no. Yes or no, mainly because as much as there's AI for the offensive part of things, there's also AI for the defensive part of things. Yeah. So people are constantly like developing technology that helps organizations and people actually protect themselves. So can AI develop to a point where it's escalated and nobody can contain it? There's a very big possibility. This is why people are being proactive and trying to come up with solutions and try to still impute that human touch in whatever AI is doing. So for example, in a day-to-day work environment, you have AI tools that you're mostly making use of, but there's always going to be like that human interface because AI can automate things for you, but you need to then now tell AI what you actually need to automate. You actually have to provide context for what the AI or what the solution is doing for you. So can it get to a point where there can be that mismanagement like she mentioned? Yes, they can, but that's why we then now put in controls that actually help you curtail and prevent such events or activities. Thank you.
To expand on what you said that there are already preventive and defensive AI tools in place in case of attacks. Mr. Williams, would you be able to expand on some of those ones that are currently used in cybersecurity today? And on average, do you think they are up to par with the attacks?
All right, thank you, Mrs. April. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm Olabode Williams, and a penetration tester. All right, so AI is a good one if being handled at the right time, in the sense that in 2023, they carried out an AI attack trying to clone a CEO voice, right? And then they had to extract finances, that is some of $240 million from the management of the firm. Right, so AI is a good one when it's been handled in the right sense. But in the offensive part of it, in which we are actually working in the attacking aspect of it, AI has come to, AI is now very, very harmful, right? So you have to just be very, very careful when it comes to AI because we have so many tools in place. Like ChatGPT, for example, now ChatGPT can create so many scripts for you, right? If you want to try and carry out an attack, for example, now, you want to create a script in attacking. If you input your prompt on ChatGPT, ChatGPT can draft out specific clean attacking scams for you, and then you give to your client, your potential victim, and then you carry out and that eventually attacks successfully to the victim. Right. So we also have so many tools in place like Gemini. We have Kali GPT also to and the like. So that's also for that, man. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Williams. That is very true. A lot of people have noticed that if you ask ChatGPT for something harmful and you say, oh, theoretically, or I'm doing a project, or I'm writing a book, it actually tells you step by step how to do that dangerous thing. Okay, so now we're aware that AI has been built to a certain point where it can be used for defense and it can be used for offense. But who takes responsibility for all of this? I mean, you create artificial intelligence, it's used for evil. Who is responsible? Mr. Adesola, when AI is used for negative purposes, who is responsible? The user, the developer, or the regulators?
Okay, hi guys, my name is Adesola. So for AI, yeah, we're all responsible for it because now we use it more. I feel the funny thing is that I look at how we use AI now, and I remember back in the days when we were in school, you know, even as when we were in school, we could not even use Google for our assignments. But now people run to AI for the littlest things, even to write, I don't know, something you would just say to your friend casually years back. You just go to AI, please help me say something nice to my friend for her birthday or something like that, you know. So we're all responsible because we all use it. So both the developer, both the deployer, both the organization running it, people that are feeding it with data, we are all responsible for it. So it is what you feed the AI that it brings out back to us. Do you understand? So we have to be responsible for our usage, whatever you're using it to do. If you go on X now, you will see how people terribly abuse Grok. Small thing, Grok, do this one for me. Small time. I'm just like, if I'm Grok, I would have given up on Nigerians at this point because I would just find a way to go into extinction. Do you understand? So we use it for basically everything. Grok is still also AI, you understand? Because we didn't have it on X about Twitter 3 years ago. But now everybody leverage on it for even on WhatsApp, we have the chat meta and everything. I mean, I've never used it, I really don't know. So if you're using it often, right? Don't you think you're responsible for whatever it is that you're using it for? People will use Grok even to do the worst things on X. I look at them and I'm like, you know, they could tell you that remove this person's clothes and you're wondering how. You know, so that is where we have regulations in place. So regardless of whatever it is, we are all responsible for everything. They gave us this thing for usage. Now we are deciding on, am I going to be using it for something bad or something good? Do you want to blame me for using it for something bad? No. Do you want to blame the people that invented it now for our own easy usage? No. Okay, so we're all responsible for whatever it is that we're going to be using the AI for at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Adesola. So in summary, all of us have to be very careful what we use artificial intelligence for. Because even though, let's say you don't even have a negative intention, but someone can take what you got from AI and make it negative. Okay, on to our next point. Mr. Delight, what does AI versus AI look like now in the current cybersecurity world?
Thank you very much. So what does that look like in the current security world? I think would be offense versus defense. And like I like to say, like in a typical like work scenario, making use of AI to say protect your organization, automate how you're protecting your organization. Typical example would be like, oh, you're deploying a SIEM solution or a EDR solution or a different type of solution, a security tool to help protect your organization. You typically want to go for a solution that has machine learning capabilities that can easily like study human behaviors and try to come up with new rules per time. So that's how we're using AI for, say, the defense part of things. So AI for the offense will now be like Olabode mentioned about making use of artificial intelligence tools to craft malicious, say, phishing emails, phishing SMSs, making use of creating malwares and creating like exploit tools and exploit attacks for an organization. So AI versus AI will not be when malicious actors are creating these approaches, creating these tools, solutions, and means to exploit the organization. You have security tools are also making use of machine learning capabilities and AI automotive capabilities to then spot these anomalies and then also like then provide you with would I say like the perfect controls and curtailing the attack to ensure that your organization is then now safe and secure. Thank you.
Great, thank you. That sounds like a lot. Honestly, it really depends on which side is going to make the most advanced tool first, whether it's defense or offense. But then it varies, doesn't it? I mean, what AI versus AI in a cybersecurity environment in Nigeria, it won't be the same as South Korea, it won't be the same as America. Everything is going to be different. Mr. Perea, what do you think is one of the biggest challenges in regulatory compliance across regions and borders?
Okay, so the biggest challenge is actually the compliance itself. I will say that it's actually the compliance itself. We discovered that we do not have a global regulation that actually regulates technology in, let me say, information transaction, information transfer, information usage, information access, information processing. Okay, you can call it data processing as well. We do not have a global general regulation for that. But we have GDPR that actually saves Europe, and most of the African regulations are actually drawing inspiration from GDPR. We have countries like China that has a different ballgame entirely when it comes to regulations. We have US on the other hand that has a different ballgame entirely. So when GDPR is a kind of like putting strict access to data and actually giving data owners that privacy and respecting those privacies, we have a country like China that your data is not even your own. Your data belongs to the state, and they can access your data at any time. You know, a regulatory body can just walk in and say, we need so and so access to this data because this is what we want to check. So you discover that in the global field, there's no level playground when it comes to regulations. And this is a very big one. It's a big one because you can have organizations that are cross-border organizations. I work for an organization that has a presence in about 8 countries and in like 4, 5 continents. And you discover that for each of these countries, you have to write policies that keeps you compliant to the regulations of those countries. Okay? I'm a data protection officer for my company, and I have to deal with regulations for each of those countries because I need to have visibility to what is happening there. And another huge disadvantage is the speed at which these regulations are changing. Government upon government just come in and in the course of one sitting or the other changes regulation and does a lot of things. So it's becoming very strict also in Nigeria here. Of course, in 2023, NDPA was actually activated, and just March this year, GAID, that is General Application and Implementation Directive, was implemented as well, and that makes it a very complicated system, both for cross-border transfers and all that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, we've spoken about the individual, we've spoken about the countries across borders. But now let's go down to a company level. Right now we see the rise of a lot of startups. A lot of people are founding their own companies. You know, you make a product, you get funding, and a startup is born. So, Mr. Diso, we'd like to ask, let's say I've created an AI tool for my startup. How would I find out if my development pipeline has been tampered with? And what are the most vulnerable points of a pipeline normally?
Okay. All right, so for that, I think before you even start deploying, you write the codes, everything that your organization needs. So it has to meet the demand of what you're doing. And again, I would say that even before an organization, I don't know if a lot of organizations now in Nigeria adopt this same means, but right now, I think what people majorly do is they just feel like, okay, so I think for me, what I've learned so far is you can easily just purchase an AI product, like an hand product. So you can just use it instead of trying to like rework your own, looking for someone to code it for you. I feel like people feel like it's more stressful for them to now start looking for engineers to build together for them when they can easily buy, especially for GRC, we buy automated tools that are already working. We just feed it with our own data. So we don't know what has gone wrong, or, you know, is it from the designing, or maybe when we're doing like a test of evaluation, they were detecting something is wrong, there's a backdoor somewhere, or whatever it is. But if you're there when they are building yours, you could start taking notes of, okay, these are the things that we have to look out for, these are the things that we need not to maybe 100% care about, you know, all those things. You have to like start notifying them. And now we have a lot of like AI engineers that are coming up as well. So you would need them if you want to build an AI product for your organization. So they are going to be the ones to detect the errors. Because sometimes if you just like outsource it to like a third party and they are bringing it in for you, you will probably, so a lot of people would not see if something is wrong at all. And by the time you realize something is wrong, a lot of data might probably would have been stolen, there is something wrong. So from the pipeline of building, writing the codes and everything else, if you're there, I feel like it's a better process for me than when I have to purchase from you. If I'm purchasing from you, like a GRC, there's a particular GRC tool, that is Vanta. If we're using that kind of tool now, it's already built. So all you need to do is to feed it with what you need it to do for you. Once it does that, you get your feedback. So if I get my feedback and the auditor is letting me know that the information you're giving me here, I can't see it in your system, what's going on, will I be able to tell them that that is what my AI automation process gave back to me? You know, so all those kind of things are already there. So you look at it from the test of design, test of evaluation. How are you going to be able to imbibe this AI, maybe deployment process into it? So you're looking out for the supply chain risk associated to that. You're looking at the process of writing the codes. What information are they going to be needing to feed into the AI process as well? All those kind of things. They're all the things that matters. So in all those processes, there are risks associated to them all. Okay, so you need the AI professional to also look into it, and they are detecting the errors. They are, you know, making the necessary changes that they need to make. So those are the things that can help. But at the end of the day, everything has risk attached to them. We cannot totally cancel out, oh, I'm doing this, there's no risk attached to it. Everything has risk. You just have to look at it like, okay, at the end of the day, I hope I'm meeting compliance. I hope I'm not violating anything, because the moment you break the compliance rule, you're going down with it. So those are the things that you also need to check. So I'm just going to wrap it up by saying that AI is good for us, okay? But before your organization brings in an AI automated process into something that maybe you normally do yourself, you should always ensure that you check everything. All right, check every process, check everything that comes in. Because even in supply chain, or let's just say, for example, we have a vendor that brings things for us. In GRC, there's something called vendor risk management. You have to look at your vendors. What are the risks attached to partnering with you? Being your friend, what are the risks attached to it? Do you understand? So I need to understand. If I don't understand it, it means that anything you bring to my company, we just feed it into our system and we just move with it until there's a problem. And then you realize that your data is being tapped through the AI system that you're using or whatever it is. So all those things need to be looked at very, very well before you start deploying process into your system. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So that means anyone who is interested in, you know, getting a startup, it's not just about having a great idea and securing funding. There are lots of processes to pass through, and you have to be careful because you break compliance, you're held responsible. And something that started off as an amazing idea, it just goes to a downward spiral. But something you said really stuck out to me. Something about how, you know, you have to automate the process, you have to regulate the processes. Like, these are language learning models. You teach them basically the way you want them to go. So I was wondering, the way you have to automate AI for it to go in the right way, I wonder if attackers can also automate AI to go in the wrong way. Like, from start to finish, this AI tool's work is to do nothing but cause harm. Mr. Williams, is there something like that already, or is that very possible?
All right, Ms. April, that's very, very possible. In the offensive part of cybersecurity, which we practice penetration testing, right, we have so many AI tools in place. For example, we have AI chatbots that will make you stand out as a customer representative or a romantic partner. in which you feel you are chatting with the customer representative, and they will ask for your bank information or your credentials, and they will use that to exploit into you, right? So we had a case that happened in 2023 in which attackers or scammers, they created fake bank item chat box in which so many customers had to input their bank information, their credentials, their credit card information, and then they had to extract so much of huge funds from them. We also have what we call spear phishing emails, right? ChatGPT can create you so many simple and neat emails for you that you can actually use that to exploit your potential victims. We also have what we call AI-powered malware. Malware is coined from the word malicious software, right? Imagine you as an attacker or offensive analyst. If you're trying to create a system hacking payload, MSF Venom, right? So if you create MSF Venom into a system, that's a payload, right? On your norms, your Windows will bounce back your MSF Venom, your payload, because you have security in place in your system, on your Windows. Now imagine AI now powering that malware, that malicious software. That means automatically that software, that payload will automatically get a reverse connection on your system. Now let's talk about Android hacking. Evil Droid, for example, now when you create Evil Droid to your Android, if you're using version 14.0, they have security in place for that. Right? But if you're not having an evil droid that can bypass security protocols, for example, now, that means you actually get a reverse connection, MSF Venom, MSF console, into your system. Now, AI has gone as far as powering so many tools that are in danger for us. AI is a very good tool, actually. But on the other side, on the offensive side, AI can be so very, very harmful if you're not careful with that. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Williams. Mr. Perea, we were wondering how, as a startup founder, how do you achieve data sovereignty in your tools, in your products, when controlling customer databases?
Okay, founder, a startup. I don't think there is any startup that is going to have problem with data sovereignty, because when we say data sovereignty, we are practically talking about keeping your data inbound in the current jurisdiction where the owners of the data are. So for okay, let me not talk down on startups, because there could be startups that have connections with partners abroad. Okay, so data sovereignty is just my data is data for Nigerians. Our organization data, our startup data is data for Nigerians, so it stays in Nigeria. Our data, if we have partners in the US, our data over there in the US are American citizens' data, so it stays there in the US. So it doesn't move by. However, there are modalities, there are mechanisms that can help data transfer, even though data sovereignty is in place. Okay.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but what if in the situation where it's a cloud, if everyone's information is stored on a cloud, do you still have that problem when it comes to it being across borders?
Okay, I think at this point, contracts comes to play. Okay? Perfect contract comes to play. However, it must be known that even if it is a cloud server, once the regulation is broken, it is broken regardless of the server that is being used. Once a regulation is broken, okay, let's say Nigerian NDPA says Nigerian data should be in Nigeria, and I'm now storing my data in Azure. So what that happens is that in Azure, the server that they are storing the data, for instance, is that server located in Nigeria, or is it one of their servers maybe in the US or some other country? So this has to be put in place. So you that wants to maintain data sovereignty, you have to know by contract with your host, with your cloud host, where is my data being stored? And you evaluate the fact that the location where that data is being stored, does it stay in line? Is it compliant to the regulation, to data sovereignty regulation? So contract comes to play. Now, these cloud hosting companies, let me not say they tell a lie, but you might not know where your data is being stored, actually, because your own is to give the data to them. Their work is to store the data, and they might not even give you access to where the data is being stored, and they might not even tell you the truth where the data is being stored. So the contract actually says, okay, this is where this data is being stored, it is signed, it is put in black and white, and even though I am being tried for breaking the regulations, this is a contract I had with my vendors. I had with my, let me call them vendors now, that my data is being stored in the jurisdiction where it's supposed to be stored. So if at that point, that data is not stored in the jurisdiction supposed to be stored, and there is a lawsuit for it, then I can comfortably transfer the lawsuit. Yes, I can, because of contract that we have on ground. I can comfortably transfer the lawsuit to the vendors. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So in summary, even in the age of tech, the most important thing is what you have down on paper in an official contract. Thank you so much for that. Another concept that we want to explore is ZTA, Zero Trust Architecture. Mr. Delight, would you please talk to us about ZTA and let us know how AI has effectively affected ZTA?
Good question. So how has Zero Trust Architecture, what's it about and how has AI affected it? So for Zero Trust Architecture, pretty much means that you don't trust anything or anyone. So say, for example, there's this hall, we're trying to access the hall. So every time I step out of the hall and I'm trying to come back into the hall, imagine there's a security guard in front of the hall. At the entrance, every time I'm trying to access the hall, the security guard is asking, who are you? Why are you here? Can I see some identification? Do you need to be here? All those type of questions. So pretty much that's what Zero Trust Architecture talks about. It means questioning everything and ensuring that every access or every privilege that is granted to a user or a tool or a solution is an absolute need for it. There's a business justification or whatever justification you might want to call it about. Pardon me. So how has AI affected Zero Trust Architecture? It means that in different case scenarios or different edge cases, there might have to be multiple checks. There has to be more effort put into things. So say, for example, previously, maybe when I first started on my cybersecurity career, it was when we're maybe having like an awareness session and telling people how to spot phishing emails. We usually say, look out for spelling errors, look out for these very visible like pointers that you could see. Now, with the advent of AI, now it's a lot harder to actually spot these things because I can just impute my text to ChatGPT, gives me proper English, proper diction, proper grammar, and then I'm pushing it out to other people. So Zero Trust now means that there has to be like a higher level of testing or higher level of questioning this input or questioning like every access or every connection that is happening within my environment. So simply put, that's how I see it as. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Williams, do you think AI is capable of tearing down Zero Trust architectures? Or do you think there are like specific models that can get past the barriers of Zero Trust architecture?
All right, thank you, Ms. Fit, for that. All right, so we have so many models in which AI can actually tear down. We have what we call primary learning model, in which AI can from scratch build a profile, right? I can go to the internet now and look for a random person seated here now, and I will build a person profile from the scratch, and I will mimic the person identity on social media, right? And I can actually use that to actually reciprocate other victims over here and get more information from the person, right? AI can also build a lot of scam scripts. It is called learning models, in which AI will build a lot of scam scripts for me. For example, now I want to just sit down and scam a CEO of a company. For example, now I can just input my prompt to ChatGPT, for example, and just tell him to give me a scam script that I can use to scam the CEO of this particular company. Now that will list out so many scam scripts that I can actually use to scam that particular CEO or individuals from that company. Yeah, so we have so many ways AI has actually built in so many adversaries to this cyber model attack. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. We've explored so many different sectors. We've explored AI when you're just an individual using your devices, how you must be careful of what you put into AI, careful of what you get out of it. You must verify all sorts of scams, just because now on social media platforms, you can purchase verification. You can no longer take a blue tick as comfort that this is not a scam. So you must be very careful. As a company or a startup owner, you have to be very careful to follow compliance, have everything down on a contract, and be sure that there are no errors in your pipeline. Thank you so much. I feel like the last thing that I just want to find out is, Mr. Desola, do you believe there will ever be an AI that we can fully trust? No negative side effects, nothing.
I really doubt that. I really, even humans, I'm looking at you, I've known you for 20 years. Do you think I can give you my 100% trust and say, yes, I can trust you? AI didn't just fall off from the sky. Someone sat down and built it. So the moment you're sitting down to build it, someone else is thinking of, how can I vandalize what this person has built? How can I use it for scams? How can I use it for anything else? So you can't fully trust it. Even when you use AI to tell you that most of the information there are most likely not correct, or don't be 100% reliant on it. So maybe do further research, right? So even AI said no trust in self now. So what are you saying? So you have to just be very careful with what you do online with it. You just have to understand that it is here to help you, but don't just push everything towards it. You want to go for an interview, AI. You want to write your CV, AI. By the time they start asking you questions, you're looking like, I'm never in this career. I've never been in this career. Do you understand? You're looking like, AI, Abby. So it's just like, what's going on? So there's always going to be errors. There's always going to be a fault somewhere. And now I like the disclaimer they always put on it when you use it. You know, yesterday I was trying to help someone write a CV, and I was just like, okay, it's one kind of CV that I've never written in my life. And it took me almost 23 hours to write that CV, and I was reading and reading and reading. So I'm like, okay, let me even ask ChatGPT some certain questions. When he gave me the answers, I now looked down, and I now saw the disclaimer, it dropped there. I'm not like, now the AI is telling me that I cannot be 100% reliant. It means that I have to still go ahead and do further research to be very sure that this is actually true. So you can't 100% trust it. As I'm doing it now, you will see a lot of scam, a lot of things are going to happen in few years. And I'm really scared for us, because we have to start understanding, how do I detect, when you go on Facebook, you see all this about, even we that we feel like we are cyber smart. Some of us are very cyber silly. You will see some AI generated videos and you feel like, this thing is real. I'm like, how do you believe a human being can pull a car or lift a car, and you're telling me it's real? So they lift it from Facebook, they put it on X, and I'm always wondering, people are there like, how? You understand? So all those kind of things, they will come up. There's going to be deep fake, and the fake is going to be very deep, that if you don't sit down to, I trust you that you cannot do this kind of thing to me, you and I will fight over the fact that, how did you do something like this to me? I know you own my life. Meanwhile, it was deep faked. Do you understand? So we cannot completely trust AI. We have to, as you're using it, please kindly look at the disadvantages of it. How do I detect an AI generated image, videos, all those things. There are softwares for that as well that you can use to check them now. So we have to be looking out for these things every time. A lot is going to happen in another 5 years. And I'm sorry, it's going to be a very serious technological, I don't even know, maybe advancement that comes with a lot of errors and a lot of issues. I will sit down, I'll be looking at you like this, and you'll be telling me, I'm not the one you're looking at. I'm like, I'm looking at you. I'm telling you, I'm not the one, I'm not looking at you. Do you understand? All those kind of things, they're going to come up. But look at the advantage, look at the disadvantage, understand it. Once you understand it and you know the pros and cons of this AI thingy, I feel like you'll get the hang of it and you're going to do excellently well in the usage. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, of course, AI is not slowing down. AI is not going away. All of us just need to become more careful and less cyber silly. Thank you so much. Now we have the questions from the participants. Most of the questions here will just be thrown to the panel. Question 1. Sadiq wants to know, we know how nice AI is to us in solving general problems, but in the case of a high drive cybersecurity hardware, how can AI fight this dangerous hardware?
Okay. So if I get you correctly, you're asking that, or if I get Sadiq correctly, you're asking, there's been like a hardware that is created for the sole purpose of exploiting exploiting people, AI-driven hardware. How then do you go about protecting yourself? Is that the last part? Okay, so for every hardware that is that you have, is always has like a software backend. Yeah. So having that in the back of your mind makes you understand that for everybody that is developing or creating an hardware, there has to be like the machine learning part to it. There has to be like different pieces that come together as one. And for, like I mentioned earlier, there's always, for every offense that is emerging, because the threat landscape is increasing or is changing every day or every minute, there are also people trying to be proactive. So the example I gave of a SIEM solution, for example, or an EDR solution that has machine learning capability, it understands that, or in this, for say, and let's call this create a scenario. So Sheba is the name of a fintech startup, yeah? Sheba has 20 employees that log into the cloud environment every day. So for these 20 employees, he understands that, for these 20 employees, they are online from the hours of 8 to 4 p.m. If, for example, like an AI-powered hardware is trying to exploit exploit Sheba as a company, the machine already understands the workflow of these 20 employees, and any anomaly that pops up or everything that's out of place that pops up, the machine actually like notes it down. So you most likely get an alert, which can then now be proven as a false positive, a true negative, or whatever the case might be for you. So the ability of the AI-powered hardware to actually exploit this organization is definitely possible if this organization has training or has like the solutions in place to help spot these anomalies. I hope I've been able to answer that question briefly.
Thank you so much. The next one is for Mr. Prayer. How exactly, what are the telling signs that a video is a deepfake?
Okay, so let's be very frank. Deepfake developers still have a lot of work to do to actually fool us on their videos if you take a very good look at those videos. For a video to be developed, a deepfake video to be developed, there is a different voice trying to match the body movement of the character. So you need to check that. Is there a perfect sync between the audio and the body movement of the character? You also need to check things like the metadata of any file. There are a lot of apps out there. There are a lot of AI apps out there that you can just copy a video, put it, and it shows the metadata. Now, the metadata has to do with the timestamp of that very video, when that very video was made, when the video was captured, and whatsoever. So once you put any deepfake video into those applications, there are still AI applications as well. Definitely, from the timestamp, you know that they are fake. But sometimes you might not even need to take strays to go that way. Once you see a video that is fake, once you see a deepfake video, instinctively, there will definitely be a question. Could this personality say this kind of thing? The fact that you have that instinct means that something is wrong. So it's now left for you to now take a pause and take your time and watch that video, and you will know if it is a fake. Except you just want to, we are the scrolling generation. We just scroll, and that is why it is getting to us, because we are easily moved by what we hear and by what we see. That's why this deepfake gets to us. But if you take your time to look at this video, you will detect something. But something very important, the audio and the character sync is very, very important, and as well as the timestamp. It's an assignment. Go out there and check for those apps where you can, those AI apps where you can actually use to check the authenticity of these deepfake videos. Thank you.
Thank you. Something you said really stood out to me. Something about, can someone like this say something like this? In this age of deepfakes and AI and impersonation, I think it's very important that every individual or company develops an identity, a brand, something you will do, something you won't do, boundaries, a standard, so that no one is swayed when they see a fake video of you. Well, thank you so much for that, Mr. Prayer. The next one is for you, Mr. Disola. People are wondering if there is a way to minimize attacks, AI attacks towards a company. Is there something a company can do to make themselves, less attractive to attackers?
Okay, so is there anything you can do yourself so that you don't fall victim to online scams and everything? It's the same thing that you personally have to do to protect yourself. It's the same thing an organization would do to protect themselves. Do you understand? Because the attack would always come. You know, at the point, sometimes I feel like I sat down and I wonder that, is it that people are so bored and they just want to check my company if it's strong enough for something, let's attack them. But like, it's boredom. Because I don't even know why I'll carry my life and then I'll do like, let me just be looking for vulnerable website or whatever it is to attack. But yeah, it happens. That is what people do for a living. Do you understand? That's what some people do for a living. So they have to invest all their time to it. You know, so now one thing I would always say is that always have a professional. That one, once you have a professional in your team, it solves most of the problem that we have because they are detecting, they are analyzing, they are seeing where the issues can come from. So when you see companies and they'll tell you that, oh, we already have a penetration tester, you don't need a GRC person, you don't need this one. At the end of the day, you will come and meet us to outsource. Because you want to see if you're in compliance. All those things, they all work hand in hand. So when you're checking compliance, you're testing vulnerabilities, you're checking those who are deploying. Is it your third party that are bringing maybe your AI deployment or whatever? Are they the ones doing it and everything? You're checking them as well because you also have to investigate them. You don't just bring people into your company and say, okay, come and do this one for us. You don't trust people like that. It can be from them that the issue will come from. And then boom, it becomes a problem. By the time you now start looking for a third party to come and help you investigate, they would ask you, who are your third party vendors? What supply chain management process do you use? Or how did you deploy this AI process? You understand? So a lot of things come together. But I would always say that if you're going to even start a company initially, why is it that, especially in Nigeria here, why do we feel like I can start a company today and I'll say, oh, I don't need you. I can maybe outsource this one. We can close this gap. Maybe I have an ethical hacker. He will do SOC. He will do GRC with it. Do you understand? Then you now start distributing like, there's no segregation of duty, but one person is doing 3 people's job and then you expect the best from that person every time. So it means that if I want to check AI compliance like ISO 42001, then it means an ethical hacker has to sit down to start understanding what the EU AI Act is saying and all those things. So these are the things that you and I need to also start looking at. You have to start looking at it. If it's not your duty, there's certain times in my company that they will give me certain things that are not my job. I'll tell you, I'm not a SOC analyst. I don't understand it. I understand, but I can contribute, but I'm not going to take it as my full responsibility because if anything goes wrong, they'll come to you like, oh, I feel like a professional. You know, I'm like, GRS is different from SOC, ma. We're doing 2 different things. I have an understanding, but I am not fully functioned in this aspect. So we always ensure that if we're bringing in something that has been built by someone else, not someone in your organization, you have to understand that you have a professional in there that is checking every process from code writing to deployment to the pipeline, maybe your CI/CD and everything else. Everything else has to be totally taken care of before you now start saying, let's start receiving people's data. And then even with the data, you're looking at the data safety policies. Are they available? How are you feeding this thing with data? And how are you keeping people's data safe? So you will not just wake up one day and see all your clients' data online, you know, with the account balance and everything, you're in trouble. So your company is shutting down for life. So these are the things that we need to also know. If you know individually, you're able to tell your companies. Most of us are always scared of, oh, if I decide to tell my company that we need to hire like an AI expert to do this thing, they will ask you, you cannot do it. Sure, you cannot do it. Am I not paying you? Are paying you, so you should be able to do it. Some would even prefer to send you on courses to go and do it. But there are things that I feel like the right professional should handle. This is what they studied. This is what they really studied. So people that are looking into going into AI, these are the things that you have to also understand. You have to be able to function efficiently when it comes to understanding what the pros and cons of AI usage is. You know, so once you know these things, that what are the things that can personally affect me as an individual, I feel like you'll be able to also understand what would affect your company on the long run. When you're able to understand that, okay, what tactics or what techniques are these attackers going to use to explore me as an AI user, then now look at my company using it as a full-blown for projects and everything. How do you think they would attack us? You look at those places and then you now start bringing into your mitigation processes. How do we mitigate this risk? How do we cover these loopholes? Once you cover those things, it will be very hard for attackers to even infiltrate your system, no matter how you deploy your AI and everything. So I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So no matter what, don't shortchange, don't cause costs on professionals because, of course, they know what they are doing. Okay. And the last question we have here is for Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, the people want to know, is it possible, here it says programming language, but then let's generalize it. Do you think it's possible to build or create a programming language or an AI tool or some form of software tool that would not be vulnerable or susceptible to any attack? It would be able to combat every type of attack.
All right, thanks for that. So I will begin from what Delight was actually saying. I want to just add to that and to what Adeshola said. Right. So someone asked a question regarding how to attack hardware, right? So I want to say this, that AI can actually basically attack a hardware by just scanning through the hardware and tell you where to attack and break into the hardware. Right? I don't think you understand what I'm trying to explain to you. Now, for example, now this is my system. You can have an AI tool that will scan through my system now and look for a way to break into my system security measures. Right, so I'm back to what Adeshola was saying. I strongly agree with her, but then I want to add to what she was saying. User awareness is very, very important in defense's security field. Right, you have to make your SOC analysts aware of what's going on, the evolving threat, right, and let them be able to understand and identify AI threat happening in the cyber world at the moment. So regarding yes, would you be able to build a tool? Is it a tool? All right. So regarding programming language, most times when you build tools, but AI can actually write out script for you. Before now, you have to build script or build the tools manually by inputting. Maybe you're using Python, JavaScript, HTML, and the likes, right? But now AI can actually draft out script for you without even going as far as learning coding. For example, you want to create a payload. Maybe you want to create a PHP shell payload for a VAT connection on a vulnerable website. For example, now maybe you're using DVWA or you're using VulnWeb. When you use your upload command prompt, for example, you can build your PHP programming language into a PHP shell using nano.php, and then you input your programming language there, and then you upload on your vulnerable website. That will give you a reverse connection. I don't know if you understand me. Offensive security analyst, are you here with me? Do you get me? Right? So when you get your nano.shell, your PHP, you input your code into it, and then you now get a reverse connection. So AI can actually write out script for you without even you knowing how to write programming language. This reset modern word. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. This was such an enlightening panel session. Everybody is so excited. We have so many comments on the live stream. Thank you so much. Please clap for everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that wonderful and insightful session. Please, another round of applause. Thank you. Yes, I hope your questions have been answered. I want to believe you have taken note of everything that our speakers have said so far. Before we go straight to the next session, I'd like us to quickly try out something. I'm all about fun. In as much as we want to learn or we have the learning, I want us to also have a good time. So right now, we're going to try out something. That's going to be our tongue twisters. Tongue twisters, yes. It's very simple. What you're going to do is you're going to say this tongue twister 5 times in a row, just straight, and that's it. So let's see who is bold enough to try this.